Chinese New Year is always going to be such an important holiday for Chinese people. And I mean, I remember growing up, we didn't necessarily go to any big Chinese New Year festivities in the Chinatowns just because, as immigrants, we were always working, and we don't get the day off in the U.S., so we didn't get to go to these places. But we always had celebrations at home, and it was such an important holiday for us to celebrate because it really sort of affirms our culture and our identity and all of that. And we have here in Hong Kong right now, usually a very festive time of the year, because of the Wuhan coronavirus, everyone is taking precautions, and a lot of our celebrations have been canceled, but we still are very much celebrating at home.
Well, we always talk about travel and movement inside China normally during the Spring Festival holiday. You said you're there in Hong Kong right now. How popular is it to make the international trip back for Chinese New Year? We often, again, hear about domestic travel, but what about the international travel?
It's interesting, as people migrate to other places in the world, if they still have family at home in China, they will definitely make the trip. A lot of people will make the trip to come home because there is really nothing like Chinese New Year, all of your relatives coming together, making dumplings, and just keeping all these traditions alive is such an important thing for us to pass down to the next generation. So I do think a lot of people are coming home. Obviously, it has been a little difficult with the virus and all of the precautions, but at least, keeping in touch with family, celebrating whether it's online or together in person is very, very active and happening here in Asia.
You've authored books for young people about the immigrant experience. You're also a mother. What advice would you have for others in the best way to instill traditions and culture with children born outside of China, born in the United States, for example?
That's a really good question, and I remember growing up, it was always hard. I would sometimes go to school with everybody else, everybody looked like they were different from me, a lot of white kids, and I just remember always feeling sometimes a little different. My mom would try really hard at home to, make sure that at least, we always had certain things, certain aspects of our tradition alive. Like we would make dumplings together, or she would make these long life noodles and tell me why it's important not to cut them. And through these little things that we did together, she would tell me stories about her childhood. My parents would always tell stories. And I think that it's just all of those things, and obviously reading books, and now we have, more and more books from very diverse authors talking about the immigrant experience or China and the Asian American experience. I have, of course, authored several books on this, but there's so many different things we can do now, watching movies, that's really important for us as Asian American people to understand our heritage, I think.